In today's Nearpod, we focused on chemical nomenclature, and we really were just looking at ionic compounds. The first type of ionic compounds that you were really looking at today are called binary ionic compounds because they only include two total elements. Remember, when we're looking at binary ionic compounds, one of the elements is always going to be a metal. That's the one that's first in line. And the second compound is going to be a nonmetal. That's the one that's going to be in the end. To name binary ionic compounds, we name the metal first. And then, if it contains more than one charge listed on the periodic table, sometimes you're going to see a Roman numeral included just to indicate the charge of the metal. After we have the metal and the charge if needed, we name the nonmetal. But remember, the nonmetal's name will change to an IDE ending. That's where you got things like chloride, fluoride, phosphide. And that would be really the rules for naming the compound. If instead we're writing the formula, that's when we need to figure out the symbol and the charge of our metal, that's the cation, and then we figure out our symbol and our charge for the anion, the nonmetal. Once we have both charges, we're going to see if they can be reduced. And remember, reduced just means divided by the same number. So if you have a 2 and a 4, you can divide both of those things by 2, and you get a 1 and a 2. If you have a 6 and a 3, you could divide both of those by 3 and again get a 2 and a 1. We're going to try reducing the charges before we crisscross them. And remember, crisscross just means that you switch the element that they're associated with. So let's say that we are given the name aluminum sulfide. We look up aluminum, and since it's in group 13, we say it has a charge of +3. We look up sulfur, and since it's in group 16, we know it has a charge of -2. 3 and 2 cannot be reduced because they're not both divisible by the same thing, so we just crisscross by switching the element it's associated with. Our final answer would be Al2S3. And remember, we don't put plus or minus signs in because now they're really telling us how many of each atom we have to balance the charge. So this represents 2 aluminums and 3 sulfurs. It no longer means -2 and +3. If we were given the formula Al2S3, then we would just need to remember that we name the metal first, so that's aluminum, and then name the nonmetal ending in ID, sulfide, aluminum sulfide. Let me know if you have any questions on these simple binary ionic compound nomenclature problems.